Perfect. And welcome to this is Ep.12. We're just cruising along here. Week 7, Sunday game day, big games. We're finally starting to see some teams on bye weeks and stuff, so a little bit more to think about when we're making the lineups here. You want to just hop into some QBs there, Terralicious?
Sure, we can jump right in. I wanted to quickly go over the slate. I think Atlanta-Detroit's going to be the popular game again. And what I learned from last week, a few of the things, is that anybody playing the Jets, just be careful. If you pick a quarterback against the Jets, you're probably getting like 2 quarters of them actually throwing the ball, and then the game's over. So they're just all their backups are running the ball. And then if you kind of look at Atlanta, you can kind of target anything with Atlanta in the game. I'm not sure what Justin's doing right now, but puffing this big chest out. But anyways, the slate kind of jumps into quarterback here. I actually like your man there, Deshaun Watson. He's one of my favorites of the week versus Green Bay. Green Bay kind of opened up their defense a little bit last week, taking that big loss to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Your new man, O'Brien, seems to be
Romeo
with
Crennel.
Romeo Crennel. With O'Brien being gone now, you're seeing Deshaun kind of air it out more. He kind of looks like he has more leniency with his choices and throws. And Green Bay, there's definitely some cracks there now, and he's averaging like 32 DK points in the last 2 weeks. And Green Bay will keep up on the scoreboard, so you shouldn't have to worry about it becoming a blowout in any case. And then the second QB I like, and this matchup's going to be coming through all my picks. I don't know why I love this matchup so much, but Tennessee-Pittsburgh, I like Ryan Tannehill. Everybody's probably going to see Henry's performance and want to run back there. And that game, even though the defenses are both good, I think that it's kind of a spot to target. Pittsburgh tends to have shootout games with good teams. And so I like this game a lot. And I have about 4 or 3 picks coming below too with this game. But I like the stack with Tannehill. He's been putting up 30 or so DK points the last 2. The run D's good, so you're going to not want Henry as much. They're the number 1 ranked D overall, so that's kind of the risk factor. But all his weapons are back from COVID, and Corey Davis comes back. He has A.J. Brown. The one that's doubtful is Jonnu Smith, but he's been thrown to Firkser now. But he did lose Taylor Lewan in the middle, so that's something to be careful of. That center that came in to replace, or the guard that came in to replace Lewan, gave up a sack instantly the next play. So he's not quite as good as Taylor Lewan is up front. So I don't know. Those are the 2 that I like the most. Where are you leaning?
I'm 50% with you here. I got Deshaun Watson. He was in the top QB to have last week in the airlines. 4 TDs last week. Big shootout. Texans were looking really good, as you said, under Romeo Crennel. No more Bob, thank God. The other place I'm leaning is Russell Wilson versus the Cardinals. Thinking this one could also be potentially a shootout. If not, I think the Seahawks win just because Cardinals are on a pretty short week. But I doubt Cardinals won't put up points just because Kyler Murray is looking great. As I said, Seattle's coming off a bye week, so they should be rested, and Cards are going on a short week here, so it could be interesting. What do you think for RBs?
Following King Henry's footsteps, I'm going to take Aaron Jones against the Houston Texans to just walk down the field and run 90 yards every second play. But they just gap to the run. I don't know what happened there, but they didn't look good against the run. He's going to be in a possible positive game script. This is why I like Watson as well as Aaron Jones, because I think Green Bay is going to get up and then run the ball, whereas you're going to see Watson throw. And he's getting 20 to 25 touches in good games. So I expect Aaron Jones to have a great game. The one risk here, again, is that Jamal Williams is playing more than you'd like. But when Aaron Jones has an opening in the run game, he tends to exploit it really well. And then cheap guy, actually kind of off the board a little bit, Zach Moss for Buffalo. I picked a guy against the Jets because the Jets stink, but you don't want to take any of the good players against the Jets because the game's just going to get out of hand. So take the rookie running back who gets all the goal line work, and hopefully this game just disappears, and then Zach Moss just gets to experience his first 100-yard game and a couple touchdowns just to get worked in more into the lineup. He didn't play much tonight against the Chiefs, but he is their goal line guy over Singletary. So I expect this game to be a blowout. So they'll run whoever at that point. Do you like any specific running backs?
Yeah, I'm thinking going off my post-bye week, especially during COVID, I'm going Kamara versus the Panthers just because they are playing the Panthers too. He's been putting up big points every single week he's played. So I expect now that they're rested up, hopefully it's comes out and puts up 40 fantasy points at least. I actually put that I would fade Henry versus the Steelers just because both defenses, I don't think you're going to have another 250 and 94-yard rushes, which was unfortunate to see. The other one I have is I have a few players from the Washington football team for the first week. So McKissick versus the Cowboys. Last week, 8 rushing attempts and then 6 for 6 on his target. So a nice little mix up there. But yeah, let's take it over to some WRs. What do you got cooking?
Both my guys are going to come from the stack that I brought in earlier with Tannehill. So first one's AJ Brown. He's came back now from injury, 3 touchdowns through his last 2, 7 and 9 targets. And he's been targeted in the red zone, I think 4 or 5 times. So he's just the red zone threat. And I expect Tannehill to have to throw in this game. And he's the number 1 receiver there. So I would lean there with the stack with Tannehill. And then run it back actually with Pittsburgh. I'm going back to Claypool. They just like getting this guy involved. I don't know what it is. He ended up scoring last week and not totally failing because they used him in the run. He ran a end around and scored a touchdown on the ground. So it's not just through the air. He caught, I think, 3 for 60 or 70, and then he got a touchdown on the ground. So I just like how they're using this guy, and I do think it's a shootout. And Tennessee can get beat over the top and up the middle. So he plays the slot primarily, and he's the deep ball guy. So I like that matchup there. And that's my wide receiver core. It tends to come from the same game here. I'm kind of stacking, but what do you think about wide receivers this week?
Yeah, I got the same theories as you go in here. I got either or. You could go in with Watson. You could take Will Fuller or Brandon Cooks. Last week, Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks both had 1 TD. Fuller had 11 targets. Cooks had 9. So they're both getting about equal amount here. I think it's just going to be a coin toss. Like at this point, Deshaun can trust both of them. You usually see Will Fuller get the big, huge plays, which is where I would probably lean towards him. But at the end of the day, I think Will Fuller only have 5 more fantasy points. So I think you're safe with either or. And then same thing with Wilson, Metcalf, or Lockett. I'm probably just going to go with the cheaper one and whichever one will fit within the team budget. But yeah, let's move on to some tight ends here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I was going to mention to you just before we jumped in that last week, one of the guys that won a tournament that I was looking at was a Houston stack where he did Deshaun, Cooks, Fuller, and Fells, all 3. And then he ran it. He ran it back with Henry. So like he had everything. And they all had 20 points. Yeah. I was like crazy.
Darren Fells had 20 points last week.
Yeah, but speaking of Henry, my first tight end is Hunter Henry for the LA Chargers. And they're going up against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense hasn't looked great again. They're really bad in the middle. They give up a lot to the tight end. And we're seeing Keenan Allen get some back spasm and some injuries mid-games. And I don't like to see that when he's constantly injured because that means he could just catch 2 balls and then go out of the game. So I like going to Henry here. He's kind of that next highest target guy on the team. They did look more towards their rookie running backs, which are options this week if you're looking for cheap running backs. Their 2 are pretty good, and they're tending to get a lot of carries now. I think it's Justin Jackson. But Hunter Henry looks like the main target if Keenan Allen does happen to go down. And then the second one was Travis Kelce. He's just, I don't know how you avoid him anymore. His worst game so far this year was, I think, 5 for 50. And that was a bad game for him. He's averaging like 20 DK points. He scored 3 touchdowns, 2 again today. Denver is okay on defense, I guess. They haven't given up a ton of points, but they also haven't played Mahomes and Kelsey in that matchup. So that game could just be a blowout, I think. And Kelsey probably sees the early touchdowns in that game. But do you like any of the tight ends? I was worried a bit about Jonnu this week because he's supposedly questionable.
Yes, going off of what I've picked earlier, I went with some budget plays. So the first one was, you mentioned him earlier, Firk, sir. $2,500 last week. Expected to go up, but still hover around probably 3,000 versus the Steelers too, especially when Henry won't be probably running the ball as much. you look for him to get a couple TDs. Maybe he gets one, you're laughing, right? Second one, another budget play, going back to the Washington football team. Hooper.
Hooper. Huh.
6 targets last week, 52 yards, so nothing crazy, but gives you 15 points, hopefully. I'm really like stretching with the dollar signs at this point, just because there's so much money going to be backed into QB and wide receiver.
You got the wrong team with Hooper there.
Oh, did I? First the Bengals. Browns. Sorry.
Cleveland.
Yeah. My bad. But
I thought you were going Logan Thomas, who I don't think's a bad play either. He saw a touchdown and four receptions last week for the football team.
Yeah.
So
also
good.
Yeah, playing the Bengals though. So those are my two, and then I'll hop into my defense special teams here just because it's on the same thing. Sorry, this is where I had Washington football team versus the Cowboys. Short week, and then I just got notification from the Athletic saying that one of their all-pro O-lines just left the game, be evaluated for concussion. So if that's out, look for the defense even more so. And then the other one I have is the Bills playing the Jets. I mean,
yeah, you can hope for a shutout.
Yeah.
The only other one I have to add, because I had the football team, was the Chargers versus Jacksonville. Chargers have a pretty good defense, especially in the secondary, and Minshew's been very up and down. He does tend to score a bit late, but it's mostly garbage time. He tends to throw a few picks here and there.
They're also coming off a bye week as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you before we close out here, what do you think of Joe Burrow? Like, that game last week was crazy with the Colts.
It's funny you asked me that, because my brother just asked me that, and I was like, I've not watched Bengals whatsoever, so I do not have a good opinion of that. I'm the wrong person.
He came out firing in that game, and then he didn't end up putting up a good fantasy output, but like, they came out and put up 27. I think it was like 27-3 or 27-10 there. And then Rivers ended up dominating, like, as a quarterback for Rivers. Like, he ended up putting up, I think, just 25 or 28 points because he had to throw the whole time to catch up. But yeah, it was pretty interesting to see the Bengals actually look sustainable, I guess is a good word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Sunday should be an exciting one, so we'll wrap that one up here. And if you're watching this, as we always say, give us a little like and maybe a comment. There is people watching, because we keep getting thumbs up and we keep getting people viewing it. Let us know you're out there and comment. Or subscribe. Love it.